Okay, I want you to say, welcome to the YouTube channel.
Welcome to YouTube channel.
Wow, that was good. All right, so guys, I've got a question here from the YouTube comments. This question actually is, what do lenders require if it's your first subject to deal? I don't actually understand this question because that means you don't understand what subject to is. Guys, I'm not going to lenders when I do a subject to deal, okay? I'm not asking permission to buy a house subject to. I don't go to a lender. Now, where you might be asking the question, and I might be a little bit confused here, let me do a little screen record. Let me break this down for you. Just real quick. If I'm buying a house from a seller and this seller has a loan with Wells Fargo for $300,000 and I go, hey seller, I'll take over that house and I'll take over those payments, transfer the ownership to me and keep that mortgage in place, the house still has a $300,000 mortgage on it because it didn't go anywhere. I didn't pay it off. I didn't apply for anything. I didn't call Wells Fargo. I didn't ask for permission. I don't need Wells Fargo's permission to own that property, even though my name is not on the mortgage. That's what subject to is. Subject to is the process of buying a house without cash, credit, or credentials, meaning I can just transfer the ownership into my name, but keep the mortgage in the seller's name. For people that are brand new to this, it's confusing, but go to previous videos of ours. We'll link some of those down below, like what is subject to, okay? So your question of what do lenders require if it's your first subject to deal is kind of not the greatest. It's a great question, but it really isn't an educated question because I don't ask lenders for permission to buy a house subject to. I just buy a house subject to. I go to a title company, they transfer ownership. I could do it myself as well. I could go down to an actual recorder's office, county recorder's office. There's one in every county. And I could transfer a deed from a seller, obviously with a contract, over to my name for like $17. I don't think a lot of people know that. I could go down right now to Maricopa County Recorder's Office or deeds.com. And if I and the seller agree that the seller wants to transfer the name of the ownership of their property into my name, that's called a subject to. I just bought their house subject to. It's subject to the underlying mortgage, which means I now am the owner, but there's still a mortgage in place. So I literally log into their mortgage. I literally log into their Wells Fargo account and I make a payment to a mortgage that is attached to my house. It is so hard for people to understand this. The mortgage does not tell you whether you're the owner or not. The deed does. So as long as I have the deed, I'm the owner. Now, where I think maybe your question might be coming from is, let's say that I buy the same house for $300,000. And I'm gonna do what we call a subtail, which means I buy it subject to and I sell it retail, right? So I'm gonna fix and flip a subject to deal. It means I take over this house, $300,000, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, $50,000 in renovations to it. Well, guess what? I need to go get a loan for that $50,000 if I'm a broke ass, right? And it's okay, I've been a broke ass before, I know what it's like. So you gotta go borrow that money from an uncle or a credit card, or you have to build corporate credit with primecorporateservices.com. That's where we build our corporate credit, where I can go get that $50,000 to do the renovations. Your question might be, how do I go get that $50,000? Well, good credit, a relationship with your uncle or somebody else has $50,000, or go build corporate credit with primecorporateservices.com. Pretty simple. So that money, I can use that $50,000, renovate the property, and then I can go and sell that property, let's say for $450,000. And that $450,000, when I receive it, it actually goes and pays off my lender, that's my private lender, and it pays off the underlying mortgage to Wells Fargo. So that is really how it's done. In neither situation does it matter whether you're buying a house subject to or you're buying a house subject to and bringing on a private lender. Nobody cares whether it's your first subject to deal or not, especially the bank, because they actually have no clue that you bought the house subject to. So hopefully that answers your question of what do I do if I'm buying my first subject to and the lender wants some sort of documentation. They don't want documentation because they don't know that this situation is going on.